Hello, radiant and beautiful souls. Today, we are diving deep into a topic that touches the very core of our faith and existence: how God shields and protects those who seek refuge in Him. Whether you're going through trials, uncertainty, or pain, trust that the Almighty stands as your unshakable fortress. He watches over you, guarding you from dangers both seen and unseen, from threats that lurk in the shadows to the trials that surface in broad daylight. His protection is not a distant promise, but a living, breathing reality for those who rest in His shelter. In Psalm 91:16, we are given a profound glimpse into the nature of God's care. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. This passage reveals the powerful assurance that anyone who seeks the safety of God's embrace can confidently say, "You are my defender and protector. I trust in you." Imagine being wrapped in the divine arms of the Creator, hidden from every storm that tries to reach you. The enemy may scheme, but you are untouchable because you stand under the wings of the Almighty. This divine protection isn't just a shield from physical harm. God's care extends over every aspect of your life: emotional, spiritual, and even the unseen battles you may not realize are happening around you. The psalmist describes a scene where thousands may fall at your side, but you remain safe, untouched, under God's vigilant watch. Isn't it intriguing how no force on earth, whether illness, violence, or despair, can touch those who dwell in the Lord's refuge? It's as if God Himself stands between you and the chaos of the world, guarding you from harm, directing His angels to carry you so that even your feet do not strike against a stone. But here's something even more extraordinary. God's protection isn't passive. He is actively involved in your life, dispatching His angels to ensure your safety. You will tread upon the lion and the serpent, symbolic of the greatest dangers you may encounter, and yet they will not harm you. Why? Because you are walking in the authority and power of God Himself. When you cry out to Him in your time of need, He will not only hear you but deliver you, honor you, and satisfy you with long life. This is a promise directly from the heart of God. Have you ever stopped to think about the majesty of the one who makes this promise? The Lord is described as a king, clothed in splendor and might, His throne established before time began. He holds the earth in its place, and His reign is eternal. The very seas, with all their roaring and power, are nothing compared to His voice. His commandments endure forever. His temple is holy, and His justice is unwavering. Yet despite this majestic power, there are those who challenge God, walking in wickedness, trampling on the innocent, and mocking the oppressed. They say in their arrogance, "God does not see us," as if the Creator of eyes and ears could be blind or deaf. How can they be so foolish? The Lord who fashioned the universe sees every injustice, hears every cry, and knows the absurdity of their thoughts. He is the ultimate judge, and while the wicked may seem to prosper for a time, their fate is already sealed. For those who trust in Him, however, there is joy even in the midst of trials. The Lord is our guide, our teacher, and He provides us with relief in troubled times. He does not forsake His people, nor does He abandon those who seek Him. There's something deeply reassuring about knowing that, no matter how dark the days may seem, God's justice will prevail. He will not allow the wicked to triumph forever. They may dig a pit, but they will fall into it themselves, ensnared by their own evil. Now, let me ask you this. When trouble comes, where do you turn? Do you look to the hills, wondering where your help will come from? The psalmist gives us the answer. My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. The same God who formed the universe is your guardian. He doesn't sleep or take a break. His eyes are always on you, protecting you day and night. Whether it's the scorching sun or the silent dangers of the night, He keeps you safe. And not just today, He watches over you for all eternity. It's fascinating to think about, isn't it? The God who reigns from His heavenly throne, who judges nations and rulers, is also intimately involved in your life, ensuring that no harm befalls you. He sees the good and the bad in the world, and He despises lawlessness. For the wicked, His judgment is swift and certain, as they are met with scorching winds and burning sulfur. But for the righteous, for those who seek His face, there is an invitation to dwell in His presence forever. What an incredible contrast! The destruction of the wicked versus the peace and joy of those who walk with God. In times of fear and uncertainty, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But the Bible reminds us that God is always with us, standing by our side. Human enemies may plot and scheme, but how can they harm us when we are protected by the Creator Himself? It's a remarkable truth. God is aware of every tear you've shed, every heartache you've endured. He keeps a record of your pain, and He will turn back your enemies when you call upon Him. As we reflect on these truths, let's also consider the justice of God. He is a righteous judge, and no evil deed goes unnoticed. The wicked may appear to prosper, but their names will be erased, their cities forgotten. However, the Lord's reign is eternal, and His justice is unchanging. He is a refuge for the oppressed, a shelter in times of trouble. Those who know Him will trust in Him, for He never turns away those who seek His help. Even when life feels impossible, when you're weighed down by anxiety, fear, or the actions of others, remember that God is working behind the scenes. He has already promised to turn your enemies into your footstool, to use even the most difficult circumstances to elevate you to a new level. It's not always easy to trust in the midst of hardship, but when you lean on God, He carries your burdens. You don't have to fight every battle on your own. God fights for you, and His ways are far greater than anything we can imagine. Isaiah 54:1-3 gives us a beautiful picture of God's promise to the barren and desolate. Sing, O barren, you who have not borne. Break forth into singing and cry aloud. For the children of the desolate will be more than the children of the married woman. This speaks to the miraculous ways in which God works. Even in seasons of barrenness, God can bring forth abundance. He's telling us to expand our vision, to prepare for the blessings that are coming, even when it seems impossible. And here's the key. In order for God to work in your life, you have to be still and know that He is God. Stop striving. Stop trying to force things to happen in your own strength. Let go of your worries and trust that God will vindicate you. His plans for you are bigger, sweeter, and more rewarding than anything you could ever accomplish on your own. The very people who try to bring you down might be the ones God uses to promote you. How incredible is that? When you're tempted to worry or feel anxious, imagine yourself leaning back in a big, comfortable chair, feet up, resting in God's care. Picture your problems under your feet, because that's exactly where they are, beneath you, under the authority of God. When you live in peace, trusting that God is fighting your battles, you position yourself in a place of true power. Whatever you're facing, it's not permanent. It's temporary, and the power of God within you is greater than any force that comes against you. So, keep the right perspective. You and God together are a majority, and nothing can stand against you when you walk in faith. Isn't it intriguing how life's biggest challenges can be transformed into stepping stones when you trust in the Almighty? Keep going, keep trusting, and watch as God moves in ways you never expected.